All right, everybody. Welcome back to the True Leon Army podcast. Got special guest Jamoane on, and we're talking about why it seems as though today women are emasculating men at a degree that's unbelievable. And just a few instances recently, of course, we know all the situation with Will Smith and his wife and the DJ Envy thing that happened with his wife. And I guess
the Johnny Depp situation.
The Johnny Depp situation. Yeah, I mean, there's so many situations that we could pull. I mean, hell, we can even talk personal references at that point.
Yeah.
But I look at the statistics on marriage. Marriage is at a record low that has ever been at any point in time in history.
Facts.
And I think I know why. Because women are emasculating men. So do we blame the women or do we blame the man for allowing it? So Jamoane, I always like to let my guests kick it off, man. What's on your heart, man?
I think it's more or less like a two-way street because you have instances of when women, they're kind of forced into that masculine role.
Let's scoot this up for you.
So when they actually get a man, they don't really know how to be a woman to the man.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, men don't know how to be men.
I would agree with that.
Or sometimes it's not even that men don't know how to be men because you'll have men that'll go out and do everything that a man is supposed to be doing, but they don't. I don't know. There's something about them that doesn't command that respect that comes with doing X, Y, Z. Or
so you blame the man then, right? Because if they not,
I mean, yeah, it ultimately has to be on the man in a lot of these cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so if we talk about the current situation, like the most recent one that I can think of is the DJ Envy and with his wife.
Okay.
Now, I know they put that out for money to get like people to come in and want to buy their book and to market it because it's very controversial.
That situation is crazy because this is not the first time that that's actually been out.
Oh, really? That's the first time I heard about it.
Us as the fellas, we didn't pay attention, so they had to put it out a different way to make sure it turned into something to talk about.
Right. Okay, yeah. So that's my first time actually hearing about that.
Nah, because I talked to my wife about it, and I'm like, yeah, that's crazy, and da-da-da-da-da-da, and she like, well, they talked about it on their podcast before, and that because she listens to the podcast every now and then. So she's like, well, they've been put that out there. It's just kind of just like a recap. I don't know why they put it out there again, but.
Well, I say it's important because I'm sure there are people who go through that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people who go through that. I think that to be with somebody for 10 years and, and they were high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
So to me, you already have a level of connection that you should at least be open enough to say, hey, the sex ain't it for me.
Well, you'd be surprised. Some of us men, we live in our machismo. So it's like, and our women know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, think about if as a woman, you got a man like they say, okay, well, she's been with DJ Envy from the start, but come on now. As far back as I can remember, I've been hearing Envy. He had to be 19, 20 years old on mixtapes in Ohio like crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really want to hear that. Oh, I was with you from the beginning type shit. Like, it didn't take that long to be sustainable to make money. So granted, you're going to naturally care about your man's ego. Every woman does, regardless of how she's being satisfied.
Right.
You can be treated good, but not satisfied. You know what I'm saying?
But why? I say why emasculate them though? Why wait 10 years and utilize an argument? Because at least that's the way it came out that they were upset. They were arguing about something, and she was just like, "Well, I've been faking it for 10 years." And to me, if you take the time, you're with somebody this long, you're going to go through situations. And like you said, us men, we have our egos.
Yeah.
So to have somebody, I mean, that would break somebody down.
Yeah, you tell me that for 10 years.
Yeah,
that fucks
10
the
years,
whole,
it's like
that
now,
breaks the whole bond.
Yeah, now, like when I have sex with you, I'm going to be like, man, you faking? You really into it? Is this what you really about? Like,
yeah, because you get to thinking in your head, like, granted, like, I mean, even myself now at almost 40 years old, I know I'm way better at sex than what I was at 16, but at the same time, there hasn't been that much of a change to where it's like, okay, so none of this was working?
Well, I mean, and then, the more people you get, the more things you learn. The more, as you learn your woman, you learn other women, you learn what works, what don't.
Yeah.
So I agree. The way you did things when you were 16, is younger for some other people like me. But to now is pretty different. Yeah. But 10 years, that's more than enough time to learn your woman.
And then how it comes out, like,
and that's what
you
I'm
didn't
saying.
explain this to me.
You waited till the
try
argument.
To break me down.
You try to break me down. You use it as a tool to destroy me. And again, I think there may be more layers to that situation on why she did that.
Yeah.
But this is starting to become the trend where women are emasculating men publicly. And some men just feel like it's okay. Like he was just like, oh, we got past it, which I understand. Like, you've been with somebody since you was a kid. You get your kids with her. You built I would say a legacy with this person. So you don't want to just leave for that. But the trust is like, man, for 10 years, now I want to go out and fuck some other chicks and get my my mental back because sleeping with you ain't going to work for me. And in the situation with Will Smith is constantly disrespected.
Yeah.
Constantly disrespected.
Well, she did that to him before the smack.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Remember, she was on the thing talking about she said he loves like a girl or so, or so, it was something, but basically along the lines of she wasn't fully satisfied.
Well, and also too, she was still talking about Tupac, her ex, and then had her daughter.
Holla if you hear me.
Yeah, writing letters to the ex and things as such. But see, I blame the man. I blame the man in that because you created an atmosphere where she felt it was okay to even come at you like that. See, for me, I feel like that we all have our levels of what we could tolerate and what we can't.
Yeah. And
if you're openly disrespecting me, and everybody got disrespected. I got disrespected in every relationship to some degree, and I've caused disrespect. I mean, that's human nature. So we all have our thresholds. But what I see, these men that I believe I looked up to in points in my time in my life, and I would be a liar to say I never looked at Will Smith as a role model.
Yeah.
But when I see that you allow this woman to emasculate you and just make you look so weak, and you're stuck on this, I got to make this marriage work. I don't leave, and I have to stay in this, and I don't believe in leaving, and I have to make this work. And
it's almost like he wants to prove that this idea, this new normal type of marriage is fail safe for them.
But that's not normal.
I know, but that's what he's trying to prove. He's trying to bring some normalcy to that.
But see, a lot of people now are saying they don't even want to get married. And
that's true.
That's why marriages are at a record low. Because what's in it for men? What's in it for men to imagine building a legacy with someone, and after 10 years of being with this person, having a family, home, and mind you, I don't even know DJ Envy's wife's name. I really don't. But where she is and how she is because of him, the moves he made.
No, that's facts.
So this man built this entire life for you, sacrificed, making all these moves, put you in a life that most men probably wouldn't even be able to do. Facts. And the main thing you could do is tear this man down on something that you could have talked about and helped him build up and understand your body, because maybe he just didn't know how to work you. Yeah. Maybe he didn't understand things about you, but you didn't want to communicate that. And now in his mind, he has to think, if you lied about that, what the fuck else are you lying about? What the fuck else did you not tell me? And like I said, it's becoming the norm to emasculate men. Like having a masculine man now is considered toxic.
So let me ask you this though. How do you have that conversation without emasculating a man?
Okay. Now it will hurt. It will hurt to know that. It's going to hurt. It's not a lie. It's going to hurt. You're going to have to take your pride, check it in the door, and understand that this person coming at you with respect and want to be with you and say, hey, let's try this. Let's do this. Cut your pride out. Get out your feelings. Don't be emotional about it.
Yeah.
Be thankful that she came to you because she loves you. She respects you. But if you can't get your feelings out of it, or if you created an atmosphere where let's say she brought other things to you, and you bitched up and just, man, Like, I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
So maybe she never, and again, there's so many different ways to unlayer this.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what goes on in their home?
Yeah.
But still, I believe that he's the head of his household.
Yeah.
So for him to go out in this world on a syndicated radio, he has a huge real estate business. He has so many ventures that bring so much revenue and a legacy for his great grandkids to live off of, just from this one man. I mean, probably a first generation millionaire.
Yep.
And the thing you want to tear him down with is that he didn't make you come.
Some sort of inadequacy.
Yeah, some inadequacy that you didn't want to vocalize until you got upset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're right. Yeah, at any point she could have brought that up, it would have tore him down. But it's how you do it.
Yeah.
You know, even when you have problems. And like I said, we've become so accustomed to seeing men being emasculated that young men are like, why the fuck would I get married? Why the fuck would I go out here, get married, put everything that I'm building on the line to have to split with somebody? Because she went out there in them clubs and DJing, getting on the mixtapes, doing all that. Now she probably had to stay back at the home and take care of the kids. And I'm not downplaying that. Right. Like with my wife, like, you know, when I went overseas to work, my wife had to hold things down.
Yeah.
But even if I wasn't with her, I still would have been overseas making my moves.
Yeah.
If DJ Envy wasn't with her, he still would have been making his moves.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that if we create a society where we're normalizing emasculating men, it's the American men to me that we're becoming weak. We're becoming weak. It's normal.
Well, American men and Americanized men.
Okay.
Because, you know, like, hell, there's certain men that are foreigners to the country to where they're slowly but surely starting to pick up on some of this shit. But hell, I mean, I know women that are like married to Africans or Arabs, and you know they're bending a little bit. But then I know some to where it's like, all right, well, you married the scammer African, so
yeah,
it sucks for you because now you can't get another bank account, and he's gonna do whatever he wants with the money because that's how he lives his life. And then you got the Arab guy to where it's like, all right, well, you're gonna be with the babies all day because I work in the store, and nobody's gonna see you, and that's just how it's gonna be. But then you have those where it's like, all right, well, they're conforming to the American way, and it's like, all right, well, now you're starting to have these American.
But that's destroying the nuclear family.
I would agree.
That's destroying the nuclear family, and this. If you don't have a structure in a household, for example, like with the presidency, and I like when Kevin Samuel said this, you know, you don't see the vice president coming in to check in with the president. I mean, the president to come in and check in with the vice president.
Right.
There's hierarchies in everything that we do. With your business, you have a hierarchy. You know, if you have people that report to you, if you have contracts in which you're working on, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a household, it's become demonized to talk about a hierarchy, to talk about, you know, hey, this is your role. This is how you do things. And if we continue to allow this situation to fester, it's only going to get worse.
No, you're absolutely right. Because in certain cases, my wife has been demonized just based off willing to follow, willing to be cooperative.
It's looked at as being weak.
Yeah.
It's looked as being weak to say, but you know what? All the women who say shit like that be single as fuck.
Some of them, because that's what I ran into with like doing podcasts and things of that nature. Because we would talk to couples, and then you'd be surprised the little stuff that, or I would be surprised the little shit that I could talk about and actually speak on. Where it's like, all right, well, my other male counterpart is like, bro, I don't want to talk about that shit right now because I'll get in
trouble.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, this ain't a conversation. We're not talking about sleeping with other women or anything like that. We're talking about like just marriage shit, relationship. And women that have men are scared to talk about stuff. Now, granted, I mean, it may sound a little bit sexist, but I'd rather her be afraid to talk about something than me because, hell, ultimately she follows me.
Right.
So why would it be fear from up top?
Right. And that's the thing. And that right there just shows a level of disconnect that you have men in a situation where they're afraid of their wives, man. Like I got a buddy who's oh, yeah, here you go. You turn it upside down. There you go. Open that top.
Okay.
There you go. as a torch, man.
This some new shit.
Yeah,
I thought it was one of them digital joints. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah, so basically, if you have a situation where men are afraid of their wives and they don't want to talk about things. Like I got a buddy, I went over his house and chill, and we were sitting there talking, and the whole time you're like, hey.
Kind of on pins and needles.
Yeah, and I'm just like, bro, like, you got your wife into this house. You got her into this house. You made moves, and you a faithful dude. Like, you're a faithful dude. You ain't doing nothing wrong. Per the standards you guys have in your household, why the hell you got to sit here and whisper in your damn house? Why do you have to whisper in this motherfucker? Like, I just felt uncomfortable. Like,
yeah,
I had to sit there. I was talking about a situation how I said, if you want something in your life, if you want something, tell your wife this is what you want. Don't lie about it. Like, hey, I want to do this. I want to have multiple women. What's the worst she could say? No. Because, and that's, people who want multiple wives. And I feel like that if you get with a woman, off subject, but I just want to point this out. If you get with a woman and y'all got together on a monogamy standpoint, meaning that you two are exclusive and you want to open the door to have other people, that's a conversation you have to have with her and respect her opinion, because y'all got together on this premise. It's not like you got with her and she knew, hey, I'm not a one woman guy.
That's true. And I had to learn that, bro. Cause like shit, as being a high school sweetheart, you know what I'm saying? And learning that I wasn't ugly and had a little bit of a player way. Like I done did some bullshit and XYZ. And then sometimes like the things that you do, it comes back on you sometimes.
Right.
Like, hell, I've done meaningless shit and it came back to hit home. Oh, my bad. And it's come back to hit home for nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to where it's like, I don't even remember this interaction or XYZ. And then those are things to make you think about the bullshit that you do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, here's the thing too, man. Like, the decisions we make when we were younger, the things, I mean, I think men are naturally polygamous, personally. And I think, if you and your...
I'm glad you said that, because I think so, too.
I think if you young, like, I first got married when I was 20 years old. And when my first marriage got, I was getting it in. I was wild. Like, couldn't hold me down. Definitely when I went out the right state, like, I was clowning.
Yeah, I can imagine that being crazy.
Yeah, so, to me, what I tell my sons, don't even get married. Don't even think about it until you super established, until you could take that commitment seriously. And again, if you want multiple, be upfront. Be upfront with what you want.
Yeah.
And be willing to walk away from that person if they're not willing to adhere to the standard that you accept.
Yeah.
But see, we have so many men now who want to lie to get it, who want to create a situation that's not really beneficial for them. They just trying to get pussy. So I can see that with Will Smith. He's probably so happy to fuck with Jada that he couldn't lay the law down on how, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was this section, this video where she was recording him in his home.
Yeah, and he told her, like, you should really let me know before you cut the camera
Exactly.
on. But see, that type of shit, that's like, you ever seen the movie Casino?
Nah.
Well,
refresh me.
Basically, the main character, his name is Sam Rothstein, who Robert De Niro plays. And he balling, like, you know what I'm saying? He run Vegas. And he sees this chick Ginger. He meets this chick Ginger. She's everything to him. He means nothing to her. Like, you just an old ass balling ass dude. And he like, no, I want to start my family with you. You're my everything. So they basically enter into a contract where, all right, well, you got X amount of dollars, and you know what I'm saying? You just be good, bitch. And that was the arrangement. But she was a city girl. She's the original city girl. So it's right. Yeah, all right, well, now I'm putting on these furs and wearing the diamonds that you bought me to go hang out with my old friends and XYZ. And then, of course, the shit hits the fan because there's no real respect.
And refresh me, what did he do when he found out that she wasn't adhering to the standard that he set?
Well, he was simping out at first. Like, hell, it was just a whole bunch of trying to save face type thing. But it was a little bit of a different situation because it was like mafia related. So, you know, like, they get to knowing that somebody fuck with your wife, people die and shit like that. So
makes sense.
So it's a little bit different, but in the same instance, it's like, all right, well, she was doing a whole lot of what we see today. As far as, okay, well, yeah, these women are with successful men, and they have the title, but they're doing everything under the sun to make them look like something different. It's damn near like almost being married and single.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, he even says that kind of like, yeah, we both did our shit, but da 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 da. But this is what it's gonna be like.
Moving forward.
Yeah, well, not even moving forward. It's just more or less like it's damn near how their arrangement was.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes that type of shit is what ruins relationships up front too.
Mm-hmm.
To where, hell, I don't believe that I try to be polygamous or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I am a people person.
Mm-hmm.
I can communicate with the other sex.
Right.
But there's always been a barrier there because I've damn near always been a husband.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? No matter even if I ever really try it like that, I've always been seen as that husband instead, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then like the thing that might get me is that I can conversate from a polygamous angle because it's like, hell, I see these women, and you know, to a woman that loves you, she don't see nobody but you.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because I mean, men are naturally polygamous. I mean, if you look at the Bible, people don't realize that. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but throughout history and a lot of things which were written down, primarily men were polygamous. They had multiple wives. It was a natural thing not to be with just one woman. Now, where monogamy works is when it comes to an actual family. And building and having children with this person. And mind you, when polygamy was primarily practiced, if you had multiple wives, you had the ability and the resources to not only take care of these wives, but all the children in which they have. Most people don't have the resources to take care of many households. Now it's just a hyper-sexualized society where it's just like, man, let me get her, let me get her, let me get her. And you can't really take care of these emotions. You can't deal with these, definitely if you're trying to build.
No,
right now.
I agree.
So I feel like that in my younger years, it was easier because it felt natural to me. As I got older, I realized that the time that I spent chasing pussy, if I'd have put that on chasing my goals and my business, I would have been a millionaire right now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people that I know who are very wealthy primarily was so focused and tuned that they couldn't even entertain more than one woman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah.
So with now, like having a family, having all these children, it's easier for me to be focused and be like, hey, on my grind and purpose and not entertain the opposite sex. Now, same way, I know how to talk to women. It's easy. It comes natural. And I know the type of respect that I command in my relationship. And there's been times we both been disrespectful in the way we talk to each other and things that we had to go get therapy on and work on and say like, hey, if this relationship, because I got to a point.
Therapy is good for understanding.
Yeah, I got to a point where I was just like, God, I was ready to get a divorce from my second wife. Because, I mean, I filed and everything because
oh, shit,
I was ready. God, I was ready. I had to prove a point that if you can't act in this manner, I'm cool. I could be by myself.
Yeah.
Like, finding another woman ain't hard. I don't live in a scarcity mindset where it's just like, man, it's the only piece of ass I ever get, or I don't operate like that.
Well, let me ask you this. So, being that you said that, this brings up an awesome segue. So, a lot of the, what would they call that shit? The red pill type, situational type shit. Like, do you believe it's really like that for the women? How a lot of these people, I mean, granted, we know the women outnumber us, but do we think it's as bad for these women? Like say, okay, well, you're a well-to-do guy, motherfucking. It was a nice little drive out here to make it to your establishment. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not breaking up with you and finding another you next door or XYZ, but there are yous out here, but it's just like, do you think these women really have as bad a chance as some of this stuff says? Cause
I think so. And the reason I believe that's the case, because women will never have a problem finding sex. That ain't hard.
That's true.
Like, I would never, ever believe that. I mean, a woman could be fat. She could be not even good looking and still get out here and have dudes in her inbox. I mean, that's life.
Nah, that's facts.
The things men have to do to be noticeable, we have to be on our grind of purpose. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to be financially secure. We have to be on our grind of purpose. All these check marks we have to meet, not only for ourselves, but to be, I would say, worth looking at to the opposite sex. Worthy to the opposite
credit
sex.
worthiness.
Yeah.
Like how they do at the banks. Our
exactly.
credit worthiness.
Yeah. So we have a lot more steps we have to take. So if a man is taking all these steps, the last thing you want to do is deal with bullshit. Because the thing is, it's like, yeah, I may not have pussy come as fast to me as you get dick, but I know good and damn well I can see women control access to sex. Men control access to relationships.
Yep.
And if you operate in that power, in that mindset, like, I know what I bring to the table. And it's not downgrade. I don't downgrade my wife. Like, I mean, I'm very appreciative of what she brings to the table. I'm thankful she take care of our children. And there are a lot of things that we had to grow, get therapy, and get past some things that we were going through.
Likewise.
Just to be where we are now. And that's the thing. I had to understand where I was wrong. She had to understand was wrong. And that's just growing, getting older. But I do know that there are a lot of women right now who let's say, you said there are more women being married or whatever. But what's the quality of the man that you're married to? You understand? Like,
I get that.
Do you got a son husband? Do you got a man who's sitting there, can't make stuff happen, that you got to take care of, who can't sit out here and be like, hey, I got a vision, I'm about to bring that to fruition? Or, you know, my current wife, she was in a relationship before me for 5 years, came out of that with nothing. You know, came out of that and the relationship, it was just toxic. It was volatile.
Oh, I knew her before then. So
yeah. So, you know, it was just like, you know, and I point that out because just how everybody is different, everybody get what's different. You know, it's if you see a situation where you know, like, man, I'm better than anybody you ever motherfucking been with, like, you lucked up getting with me.
Yeah.
And it's not being prideful. It's the damn truth. Like, people hate on Kanye West a lot because the stuff his mom told him how to build his ego up.
Why are dudes victimized for believing they the catch?
That's what I'm saying. But it's because our culture has demonized being proud. And it's not tearing down women. It's just, but the statistics are true. Why are so many women calling in the Kevin Samuels show?
Yeah.
Because they're looking for this man, this ideal man. I want a man who can make six figures. I want a man to have all this. I want all that. And here's the thing: when you had opportunities in your younger years, you was playing. So these dudes, most times the good guys get swooped up. The women like, oh hell no, I'm gonna get this motherfucker. I'm gonna give him some babies.
You're not gonna make it all the way through life and snag that guy that's able to get whatever he's want.
Exactly.
Whatever he wants later on in life. It's just not gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna be able to have that fun of, oh, well, I did X, Y, Z, and da-da-da-da-da. Nah, a person that's really worked for their money, either they're going to want somebody that helped them make the money, or you got to have a hell of a character to come in from that, or they're going to go after something younger, more better looking, something where it's not going to complicate their life. I don't have to sit and answer whatever questions you might be going through.
Well, exactly.
40,
I mean, like,
that,
just imagine. Let's give a different scenario. Let's say Will Smith was more masculine. Let's just assume that he understood that I am a top award-winning actor. That the main reason why my wife is even talked about today is because of me.
So say he never took the approach that he did.
Right. Yeah. Let's assume he carried a different energy. She wouldn't even have that disrespect towards him. That's true. She would be like, I'm going to operate because I know this man will leave me. I know that if I sit here, and then again, everybody's going to have their moments, but I'm not going to go on a motherfucking show or go on this little red table and disrespect my husband.
Or at least think they even create that type of space.
Exactly. She created the energy that was so volatile for his mind that the man went up on stage and smacked another man because of a fucking joke.
And the way he did it showed it had nothing to do with his feelings.
I think it was his feelings.
I think it was his emotions. As far as like, because it showed him laughing at the joke at first.
You're right. So, but his emotions are dictated by what his
But that's wife. What I'm saying though. Have you watched Ozark?
I've seen bits and pieces, but
So
refresh me on what the point
I
you're
just watched the end of it or whatever. So like,
spoilers forever.
no, it's not even about to be
Oh,
no
okay.
spoilers or nothing. But it's just so crazy how you realize the dynamics of when you see when a woman is running the ship. Like
Mm-hmm.
the whole series, his wife is really in control. Like,
Mm.
he's a money launderer for top cartel in the world or whatever, XYZ, and he's so busy doing that. He come to find this is in the first season. He find out his wife cheating on him, and he trying to figure out how to fix it, and then he get to bringing everybody in on the business even more, and then she really start running shit. And like hell, by season 4, like she the husband damn near for real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you was to see it, you just like, damn. I'm like, I can't believe the way this shit is playing out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you got to think the media is normalizing men taking a feminine role.
I mean, that's when that's like, okay, in that situation, like, okay, well, Will Smith and Jada, it's like, all right, well, when Jada was on the climb, she was doing all them black movies, so she was getting her black stardom up. Will Smith was getting stardom up.
Oh yeah,
So
the real shit.
So then when that shit started to decline a little bit, the roles flip because she starts to come out and voice, and she starts softening them up. But if you notice, like, that could have been the detriment of Will's career because we really haven't been fucking with none of his movies. I mean, granted, he's did some bad shit, but it's certain shit that, I don't know, maybe subconsciously as a man, I might not have just, I'm not about to watch that shit. Like,
So refreshing. What do you mean? Like,
okay, if you think about it, Will Smith was like, movie wise, the biggest thing up until what, 97, 98?
Shit, was still bigger after that, man.
I mean, yeah, bigger after that because you got Men in Blacks and the Wild Wild West and XYZ, and then.
So are you trying to say that maybe his wife played a role in him being better, or?
Of course, a woman is gonna make you better if you keep her around long enough. But I think what started to
could tear you down.
Or could tear you down.
I mean, because
that's what I was just about to say.
Okay,
or it could fester to where it's like, all right, well, hell, you start doing shit that's not necessarily the best idea for you to do for your career. And you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes your wife is there to kind of help you. Like, you might look crazy doing this XYZ versus, all right, well, I'm trying to work on what I'm doing, and da-da-da-da-da, and you doing this might play into me doing this, to where it's like, hell, you never know what she might have been working on, or where, like you said, the one video where she just motherfucking recording out of nowhere. Who knows what he was filming? You know what I'm saying? Who knows what decisions he was making or what he was going through? It's like, hell, you don't know how volatile his life might have been at the time when he was making decisions to do any of this shit. Like, this ain't Fresh Prince mind state. This ain't, oh, you're hot and on fire, we got the next Men in Black, or, you know what I'm saying? And then you at home chilling with somebody that's trying to get themselves out.
Well, and just to take it further, I think that I think the scary truth with emasculated men that's allowing this energy in their homes, I think they're scary. They're volatile, they're unpredictable, and if your emotions are able to be controlled by what somebody says, what somebody does, you see situations where there's violence, where I remember my wife had a friend named Kristen who passed away maybe within 2 years ago, was killed by a baby daddy who was hyper emotional. What he was emotional about, what he was going through, I don't know.
I hated to see that happen.
Yeah, it was very bad. But when I see men, and I'm not saying that Kristen emasculating him, so I don't want to say that. But I will say that men who are so emotional and so not on their grind of purpose and not able to stand on their ground they're like the leaves that just blow whichever way the wind goes.
That's true.
If somebody makes me mad, I'm gonna go talk some shit to him. I gotta make a point. I'm gonna get up on this motherfucking stage and show this dude you ain't gonna talk shit to my wife, and you look like the biggest bitch.
Yeah.
The real man was up there keeping this motherfucking cool.
Yeah.
Because see, the man in me, I couldn't have kept my cool.
Yeah, I probably would have kicked you in the back of your leg.
Yeah, I mean, and I would have been talking more shit. The moment you sat down, I would have been going in on your wife.
If you really pay attention, he wanted to, because he was like, I could. And then he just kept it cool. But all in all, it's just like, in a sense like that, it's like, I know he probably like, bro, for real? Mm-hmm. Like, this is what you, I don't know, man, because like,
I mean, it's what it was like the people who had a image of Will Smith in their mind, the people who seen him and what he portrayed on his films, you seen him as a strong male who's able to maintain his frame, his masculine frame.
He's always came off that way.
Exactly. So when we seen that, we seen an emasculated bitch. Now, when there were issues between him and his wife, I looked at it as though, okay, they're just working this out. Because like you said before we started the podcast, some people could cheat on people. Because everybody have their own threshold, right? Yeah. Some couples can get through that. Some other couples can't. Yeah. I've seen people leave people for not knowing how to manage money. That was enough for them. Like, hey, you don't know how to manage money? Can't do it. Yeah. You know, I've seen people whose thresholds are just, they don't fuck around. Yeah. Everybody's threshold is different. So I just figured his threshold is, okay, hey, she cheated on me with August. The only reason why we're talking about this is because this dude want to get out here and say something. So I'm going to get out in this world and I'm going to talk about it. You didn't have to. You could have just been quiet about it and just left it behind closed doors as long as you and your wife are cool. But what it showed, what the world was able to see was an emasculated man. And when we see other situations, DJ and his wife.
Well, I guess even in that situation, like, okay, to play devil's advocate for the chicks or whatever, because, you know, whenever you see it, you be like, they wasn't even together at that time. So she didn't really cheat on him, this, that, whatever. So my whole thing with that is like, okay, well, if y'all did agree to that shit and that's whatever the case was, my thing is we didn't get Will's breakdown of who he was dealing with, and we didn't, you know what I'm saying? Nobody was saying entanglements before that shit. Like,
oh, yeah. They put their own business out there.
But, I mean, I'm just saying, though, like, this is the type of hashtag type popularity type thing that is going for to where you seen the, I think it was the Emmys or some shit, Golden Globes, it was something, but they were there, and Laverne Cox, the transsexual, I'm not sure. You called a men that turned to women transsexual women,
transgender.
Right? Well, transgender woman.
Okay.
She was interviewing them, and she was just saying like, I can't wait for Red Table Talk and more entanglements and da 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 da. Basically, same situation as the Oscars. You know what Jada did?
What?
Laughed. You know what Will did? Nervously laughed. Yeah. And she just like, no more entanglements. But,
I mean, it's just that's another image of an emasculated man that you.
But that's what I'm saying. That's one that didn't even, without the slap, you don't hear about it as much.
Well, I mean, and with us, yeah, without the slap or violence, it just that powder keg just blew up. But
because if I showed you this clip, bro, you'd be like, damn, you could see it in his face though. Like, damn, you really said that? And then he couldn't even, because it's like a transgender person said that. So only your wife can check her. In this world, only your wife can check her. Because if I say something to
a female,
yeah, you know what I'm saying, then it's going to be a problem.
Right.
So she chuckled that shit off and no entanglements. And then the next week you slap Chris Rock.
That's crazy. I'm gonna look that up because I definitely want to see it.
I think I might have it in my phone, but keep talking. I'll find it real quick.
Yeah, find it. And I just feel like with the examples that we gave and that we're giving, that we're talking about, and I just want to make sure that our listeners understand that the modern woman who feel, and I can't blame the woman, because I feel like that as a man, if you're the head of your household and you're allowing this energy to fester, before it get to these points where you're being openly disrespected on forums, in the media, you were being disrespected in your home. Yeah. You were going through this in your home. This stuff been going on. And that's the reason why a lot of young men now are like, fuck it, I'm not getting married. I'm not jumping into this into this situation, and a lot of the women are like that. But I say to the young men that definitely be careful getting married. I think you don't have to get the marriage license. That could be a whole nother show. But if you decide to get married and you choose a woman that say, I want to build a legacy with, you have to be careful who you choose to build a legacy with. But you also have to understand that if you make the decision to get with someone, and let's say you have children, and you realize that whatever decisions or agreements that you had in the beginning on the energy that you wanted in your household, if this person is not maintaining that or not respecting that, I don't give a damn if you've been married 20, 30, 50 years, you have to be willing to walk away. And the person that you with have to understand that you're willing to walk away, not because they don't love you or they don't want to be with you, but they have enough respect for themselves not to subjugate themselves to such a standard of living that's going to make me be so fucking emotional that I go hit a man, or that a woman that I've been having sex with all the time wait 10 years to tell me you created that energy. You created that energy. And you know, the moment she said that shit, he should have been quiet. He should have been like, okay, cool. Got up, packed his shit, and filed for divorce. And showed her, like, guess what? Since you feel that way, I want you to go find the best motherfucker to have sex with, and I wish you both the best. That would have been.
I would say I would agree. I mean, I'm gonna say that hell, I can't necessarily speak from that standpoint, but had that been the case, it probably would be the best course for me, because
it has to. I mean, because 10 years,
as men, we base a lot on our sex too. That's what 80% of our ego.
I think it's what.
Well, nah, it might be a little bit less.
Food, sex, and money are like the
money
main
and sex is for men.
Yeah.
So I say maybe. Well, it depends. If you know that you're good at sex, then it plays a bigger role. If you know that like you lacking anywhere, all right, well, bam, I got it back.
Right.
So that's how it is for our ego. Mm-hmm. So motherfucking, if you tell me that the basis of you fucking with me was like,
a lie.
Yeah, like you talking about. So well, you was with me from the beginning, but this was so-called my come up. Well, bitch, you must have knew something was gonna happen if you signed up for 10 years of trash dick. Like,
exactly.
What are we talking about here?
Exactly. You signed up for that. So I mean, I blame her too, because you signed up for that, and it could have been something where she's saying like, man, this dude going places.
Yeah.
I don't want to lead this guy, so I'm gonna deal with this trash dick. On the young
side, what was the old girl's name from He Got Game? Damn, I can't think of what her name was.
I know, but bring up the instance so our viewers can understand.
Well, basically, hell, he was a #1 basketball star in the country, Jesus Shuttlesworth. He about to go to college, and he could have went straight to the NBA if he wanted to, and this is his girlfriend at the time. She trying to get a baby because she know what's going on. Meanwhile, she fucking the person trying to scout him too. She trying to make sure she has her way out.
Well, and with women, a lot of times they're naturally it's the hypergamy in women, where they want to find a bigger, better deal. They want that, because see, for them, if you look back in like hunter and gathering days, right? They wanted to get with a man who can protect them, who could take care of them, who could take care of their children. Like that was the foundational things to a woman that made them feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
So
their temperament was just a plus.
Exactly. Just a plus. You hear that, guys? A plus. So you know, it was natural to them to go for the man that they felt that they could attain that with. Now I believe, again, in today's society, we hyperlize sex, and I think that with women, they play their options too. Like women can play it hard. I think I read this text, or not text, but it was a message where it said that like men lie, but women lie a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, you know, to be 10 years and to not ever feel like your wife is lying. You didn't feel them walls like coming. You didn't feel anything. And again, it just maybe just the mental in me. I mean, it will fuck me up mentally.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, just imagine if it was the other way around.
That's the thing. It's just like you get to wondering like, all right, well, what's changed in the years after year 10? You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. What happened? What did you have to do?
And what is the new shit versus the old shit?
Exactly.
We've been, I mean, granted, like, yeah, the sex is still good after 20, 30 years or whatever, but shit, you've been sounding like this the past 20 years.
Yeah,
so you weren't getting it for 10 of them?
Exactly. But I like what you said. What am I doing differently now that's making you come after 10 years? What was it? We got an argument. Oh, no, I was lying. I said that. Now I'm coming. I wasn't coming 10 years before, but now, oh my God, it's the best sex ever. Bitch, I don't believe shit that just came out your motherfucking mouth.
Yeah, and that, like, to stick around after something like that, that's therapy.
Much therapy. But let's reverse the roles. Imagine had he told his wife, man, you got some trash cat. Your cat's trash.
You'd never hear the end of that. You better off just ending the relationship.
Exactly, man. Like, I was basically spitting. I was pretending I was coming. Like, every time, like it wasn't good for me. Just imagine had he said that. The amount of backlash he would get in the media from saying that to her. But also, imagine how that would crush her.
Yeah.
Like, well, like, damn. Like, now, I believe the man, if that would have been the case, he would have been finding what he needed elsewhere.
Yeah.
I believe she was finding what she needed elsewhere as well.
And that's another thing that I was just about to say, like, but I was going to shut up about it, but then it's just like, well, if you did that for 10 years, where was you getting it from?
She had to. There's no fucking way you sat there for 10 years lying and you weren't getting satisfied elsewhere. Hell, she could have been at work on lunch break getting it in.
Exactly. And then it's like, hell, he's been living this lifestyle for 20 years. So... hell, it wasn't as easy as it is now, to where he might not been able to come home every day, or he might have to go on tour with whoever, or go handle whatever. You know what I'm saying?
It's just, I guess the scary part that I want to keep coming back to is that we're normalizing emasculating men, and there's a bunch of weak men who promote marriage, who are so weak, who are so allow these behaviors that are so beyond the level of disrespect that is shocking.
So let me ask you this though. So okay, so we got Envy. So how you feel about Charlemagne though? Because like Charlemagne, he has a real animated type of personality and everything, but it doesn't seem like his house is out of control.
So what's going on? I guess
nothing. Like, I mean, his wife is his wife. Like, I mean, granted, like, you know what I'm saying? We didn't know who she was at first. Then she came out, didn't make a huge splash or anything like that. She's even checked, like, motherfucking Angela Yee, like, no, shit is fine like how it is. You don't need to make me start no type of quarrel within my house or XYZ. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but then, you know what I'm saying? When he gets in certain conversations, he might seem like he might have the mindset of a weak man. So does that make you weak to see that side with compassion versus?
I think there's a degree of compassion that everyone should have. If a man walk around and you're so and you don't have a
yeah, because that I think that's part of the conversation that I want us to get across to where it's not mistooken as we're saying that, like, all right, well, emasculated means that every man has to be motherfucking steel hard and XYZ. It's like, we just mean as far as not being no bitch, like,
exactly,
you know,
not being afraid to walk away. Because if you're in a situation and this person is blatantly disrespecting you, and again, again, everybody's threshold is different. Yeah, because if being told after 10 years you weren't making your wife come and you're cool with that, that's your threshold. That's a lot for me. I think that's a lot for a lot of people. But maybe his threshold is different. Same thing with Will Smith. Maybe your threshold is different. I know a lot of men who go through stuff and they walk away from the marriage, like, or even women. And I say this to my wife. I'll be like, look, if you, like, we got to an argument, I'm like, look, if you unhappy, and I'm being honest, move on. Like, be cool. You go in another room, cool down, and talk about it. But if you legit like that pissed off, I'd rather you move on with your life than be unhappy, because life is way too short. You gonna like, damn, we damn near 40. We're gonna wake up. We're gonna be damn near 50. Gonna be damn near 60. And before we know it, we're gonna be ready to clock out.
We on the A train, ain't
yeah.
We? So exactly. Damn it, let's make this the best motherfucking ride that we can.
Exactly. We almost over the hill. So why deal with some shit if you don't have to? So many people deal with shit, and that's what I mean by weakness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean, and I'm glad you pointed that out. I don't want to say that showing compassion is weak or being forgiving is weak, because we all fall short when it comes to doing something in a relationship, and we have to, look in the mirror and be like, okay, as I stated, if you're the man in your household and this energy has happened, okay, what are you allowing? Right? Like if you go to a restaurant, and with this restaurant, let's assume that you go to sit down, the servers don't take you to your table. You get your food, the food isn't cooked right.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff is going wrong. The first thing you blame is the management, because the management allow the atmosphere where people are not doing their jobs. Now, that doesn't take away from the people who are doing the bad jobs, but it shows more about the management in that establishment that is allowing an atmosphere where this type of behavior will continue. And what's eventually going to happen is people's not going to go back, and then the business is going to close. So I feel like that for a functioning family to exist, you got to have boundaries. You have to be able to communicate that, and you can't be afraid of what the other person's going to say. You can't be fearful. Well, I don't want to make my wife mad. Man, who the fuck cares? Your peace. If your peace
is equally mutual,
is equally mutual. So if she's so happy at the expense of your misery, you two don't need to be together.
And that's another thing that we was talking about before we started. I learned from doing my podcast. There's a lot of men, I wouldn't necessarily say emasculated men, but this is a form of emasculation, because like, to where there's certain shit that where you don't want to talk about because you don't want to talk about it, or you can't talk about something socially because it turns into something privately at home. And it's like, well,
you mean like operating in fear of what your spouse?
Yeah. And like that kind of made me realize I don't have a lot of that, because it's like, hell, we doing a podcast, so we have to have things to talk about. So you want to talk? All right, well, we'll talk freely. You know what I'm saying? And hell, like, I won't jump over any boundaries, but I'll speak to you as if, like, from my perspective, as you should speak to me from yours. Now, granted, you're gonna have a little bit more respect for me because it's just how she feels, and she don't want my feelings to turn away to where it's like, to where I'll look at her as less.
Give an example, like something that, like a specific example on your podcast.
Like, okay, say we might be talking about an instance of just like interactions between males and females.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? I could be a little bit more forward about how a situation may be. And I might feel like she might not necessarily be as forthcoming, or she don't want to be as verbal as an exchange could be. But then at the same time, who am I to say that's not her truth? Because, like I said, we're high school sweethearts. I'm kind of popular, just a little bit. So you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's not gonna try you, especially if you're not as inviting. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just sometimes in certain instances when you see somebody that's in a structure, this, that, whatever, it's fucked up, but you don't always keep that individual to the outside world. Sometimes you're seen as that husband, you're seen as that wife, and you know what I'm saying? So you're not gonna get tried as much. So when I might be talking, it's like, all right, well, I talk like this because you know where I'm coming from. Where in her mind, she thinking a little bit more, because it's like, oh, if I say something like this with this mindset, especially when it's out there, it's like, well, how's he gonna feel about it? And well, is he gonna think any less of me or X, Y, Z? And that's that shit that I had to kind of start taking into account, because, like, being that I'm the head, so being that I'm the head, I manage the overall, but she's the underall manager. She's what really keeps everything moving, but I just keep the whole shit moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, because in my family dynamic, hell, my wife, she's way more educated than I am. Like, I got a high school diploma, bro.
Oh, same here, man.
But hell, my wife, she has a master, bachelor's, associates. She's a certified personal trainer, XYZ, all that. But once she started to actually make the money that her degrees were paying her, it was stressing her out so much, because it's like, it's not necessarily about the money versus the stress. Like, she seemed to be a little bit, I hate to be sexist or whatever, but she's a little bit more comfortable with making sure the house runs smoother. And when she was trying to compete in the corporate world, it was making it complicated at home, because it's like, hell, she's always stressed out and strung out. These people are literally threatening her to, we need you to do this, or XYZ and da-da-da. And then she's bringing that shit home, and it's like, I'm going to work and playing my role, and I don't think about the stress that work's putting on me. It's just like, all right, well, that's just that.
And I'll be honest, man, I don't think what you said is sexist at all. I think that the energy in which your wife feels more comfortable operating in, as mine does, is what they've been doing from an evolutionary standpoint for the longest. Now, both our wives work, and my wife is more educated than me, as you say, yours is more than you. And I do agree that it's easier for us to go out in this world, make moves, and and the things and the pressures, we don't feel that.
Yeah, we could deal with the same shit in a different way.
In a different way. And I would go back to what you said on how, you know, from a male and female, how we interpret things differently. So definitely treading carefully with that in mind on how we bring up topics and how we address problems, because, you know.
But let me expound on that a little bit more. So like, okay, so as this is happening, I'm coming to a point in my life to where I'm not a rich man or anything like that, but I'm getting myself together to where it's like, okay, I kind of see where how I want my household to run. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm developing that real deal man aspect of
your legacy.
Life. So as I see that I'm able to get money, and then it's like, all right, well, I see what she's chasing, but it's stressing her out so much to where, okay, it's not creating the habitat that I want. Like, it's not as peaceful at home. It's stress. You can feel the stress in the household. So, hell, I told her, quit that job. Quit any job that's not gonna have you cool. And she went on about 2-3 years. She probably had like 12, 13 jobs in 2-3 years. Then she got into teaching. And then the pandemic happened. And then, hell, now she's a teacher. Online teaching only. She tried the in-school shit, and it don't work as good. That shit brings stress too.
I take my hat off to anybody who teaches, definitely inside a school with kids. And I feel like that with dealing with it in interactions, as you talk about, or just with your wife, how she's operating. She's operating in the natural feminine energy that's natural to her.
And the thing that's so dope about it is that, like, okay, so she's doing her teacher thing. And then, because I told her, like, you just got to make a little bit of money. Because granted, like I said, I'm not rich. I do need you to help a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
I just need you to make a little bit of money.
Yeah, definitely.
And hell, that reduced her stress so much to where it's like that goes back into the Bible. As a husband, you're the band around the home, and she's the weaver of the web or whatever. So I relieved her mental some, so that way it's like, all right, okay, well, she can thrive. So in all that, my wife works out like I play video games. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if you're a gamer.
But you see all them gamers.
I see the game. So you know what I'm saying? When you got some free time, what you doing? Cranking up the game.
Right.
She got free time, she going to work out.
Right.
So hell, she wanted to get into personal training. I turned our garage into a gym. Now my wife has a business that makes her $4,000 a month.
Man, that's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying?
That's just beautiful.
Off that, but that's
and y'all were able to come to that happiness by both of you operating in the energies in which that's natural to you both. By you going out here making moves, that you made the move to be able for, and it's not, and I hate when people think this when it comes to like a headship, but you being the headship of your home, and it's not allowing, but creating an environment where your wife is able to open up her business and do what's peaceful to her. She's still able to help maintain the home that brings her peace. Yeah. So it's a win-win situation, and she's not going to emasculate you.
No, and that's the one thing about my wife. Like, she gives me the utmost respect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes I do some shit to make her be like,
I mean, and that's natural. And like I said, I don't want to come across to the world that you're not going to have arguments with your spouse. You're not going to have moments where you be like, man, this. So that type of energy will happen anywhere, and being in a relationship, you don't want to be the type of person always ready to leave. You got to be able to work on some things, both with yourself.
And that's one of the things too, like as far as when you were saying, be willing to walk away. Be willing to walk away, but also be willing to compromise.
Right.
But don't be willing to break your principles, your morals. Like,
well, it's those lines in the sand. I mean, there are certain things in which that are negotiable that you can work out.
That saying is fucked up to begin with. Draw a line in the sand and watch a wave come across it. Then where's your line?
Man, shit, I'll create a new one.
But I'm just saying though. That's what I'm saying though. Yeah, think about that saying. Like,
the saying may be fucked up.
What is life but a wave?
But it's clear. It's clear. Cross that line if you fucking want to. I mean, I ain't even.
I feel that. I'm just saying though. Like, as I get older in life, I look at sayings, how shit goes, and you say that line in the sand. And then
right.
Me being a rapper, I just literally made a flow about how life is a flow in a wave,
and you're right about that. I won't disagree with that because
it's like, okay, your line at 20 might not be your line at 30.
I agree.
At 30 might not be your line at 40.
I agree with that. And as we age, you got to be willing to fluctuate that. So I don't disagree with drawing new lines in the sand, and that's where it comes to communicating with the person that you're with. And I feel like that men shouldn't disrespect their woman. So if you have an agreement with your wife on how your household operates, and she has an understanding that Jamoane is going to operate in this manner, you have to operate in that manner. And if it comes down to where you guys are renegotiating those lines, communicate that. So it's not a surprise. It's not, you're not on a podcast talking about some shit and she come and learn like, what the fuck you just go in there and say? You know what I mean? Or you're not being emasculated by her. Facts. Or, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, the whole point of this episode was just the society has normalized, and I keep saying this, we're normalizing emasculating men, and men are taking it and they're not, again, draw the line in the sand, however you say it. But if you're not willing to stand on something, you'll fall for anything. If you can't sit here and just have a backbone and be willing to tell this person no, like, hey, no, that's not happy to me, because if you're miserable, and nobody can convince me that Will Smith is happy in that situation.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
that's a miserable life. I mean, for somebody to say a joke, if somebody said a joke about my wife, I would just laugh it off. And
honestly, I couldn't have the full blown red table talk conversation. Like, I mean, hell, me and my wife, we did an episode talking about some shit, but at the same time, it's like,
are you talking about the episode about August Alsina? Like, something like that? Yeah,
I can't do something of that magnitude. Like, granted, she didn't seem too cringe-worthy with that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, she had a smile on her face.
My wife is going to cringe through that shit. She's going to be like, I'm not sure if I actually even want to talk about this shit.
She's going to feel like this shit may be over.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
If I come at him. See,
and there should be nothing wrong with that, because it's like, hell, I mean, granted, you should view your woman like that.
Right. Well, and what it is, you create an energy where you don't want like fear, but you want fear. And what I mean by that is that you walk around, whereas, for example, like if I were to just assume quit my job, not take care of my home, not take care of my responsibilities.
A man's fear.
Correct. Then I understand what may come along with those decisions from my wife, that she may go look for the bigger, better deal.
Yeah.
I understand that. I understand what I bring to the table, and I understand what consequences may happen if I decide to operate outside of that energy.
Yeah.
That's normal. And that would be disrespectful to her and what we agreed upon or what we established coming into it together. So I understand what comes along with that.
Yep.
So I operate with that in mind. And the same thing with her. If you can't operate in this energy, That's our lines.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the wave, I feel like with time, we may get a little bit more flexible with stuff, but I don't believe I would ever be in a situation where I would allow the stuff that I see on TV that's being broadcast. Because mind you, what we're talking about, what goes on in our homes and maybe other ones, most times people are dealing with that on their own.
Yeah.
In their households.
Yeah.
They may learn about it because we're talking about it. But when you have these very popular people who are putting out these movies, putting out this
literally
content,
embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like this is damn near like not quite a lynching, but
I mean, you could say it's like
damn near, you know what I'm
damn near
saying?
public lynching when you see these people who that you looked up to, that you admire, are fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, it does make them more real, so I like that aspect. But the degree and the shit in which they go through and what they deal with, it's like there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I could deal with that. There's no way I can operate in that type of energy. There's no way that's happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like those are the type of episodes that be on like them shows like Snapped. Like, I don't know if you ever watched that, or like them little crime
I watched
shows.
a little bit of that shit.
Like that stuff where people just be like go off the wall and people go back like, well, what happened? Where was the breakdown? Man, that shit been going on well before that snap. There was energy and behaviors that was shown that where they should have walked away and been done with each other. I seen a story where this woman was going out, disrespecting her man, not coming home at a decent hour. And, you know, he suspected that she was cheating. And she actually wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of standing on his ground and say, hey, I don't feel comfortable with that type of behavior and being serious about it, it got to the point where he ended up taking her life. Now, there's no excuse to do that. There's no excuse to operate that. But you operate in such fear. Instead of communicating and standing on your ground and being willing to walk away, you let that get you so damn mad that when something you thought happened didn't happen, you took this woman's life.
Yeah.
You took her life. And that's where I'm talking about, that we get people who just don't know how to communicate anymore. We get people who don't know how to sit here and just be honest with their spouse and be like, yo, I'm not putting up with that shit. I get that probably worked with who you were with before, but with me, I don't deal with that. So if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to do, hey, I'm cool. Like if I was Will Smith and the first moment she started pulling that shit off, I'd have been like, all right, cool. We'll have a conversation about it. Keep happening. Hey, look, I don't know why you keep bringing up your ex.
And see, I think that's one thing too. When shit get that public, like, not to say that your past people should kind of cease to exist, but like you was about to say, to where people bringing up your exes and this, that, whatever. Like, nobody should be questioning my love or your love for me based off who you might have dealt with or who I might have dealt with. Like nobody should be thinking that like, oh, she don't love him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's fucked up if people can see that. You know what I'm saying? Because you can see that type of shit.
You can see it. It's evident. I mean, and that's emasculating to a degree that's just with words. It's just like, wow, like you're recording this man. He asked you not to record him, and you're upset about that. You know, my wife would have done. I'm like, hey, babe, don't record me. Oh, okay. Put the camera down. Moved on. Guess what? That respect go both ways. Hey, babe, I'm take a picture. Man, I ain't in the mood for that.
Now, I'll be honest, though. Like, me growing up the way that I grew up, sometimes I didn't have to find balance to that myself to where I didn't overdid it because, hell, my father has been emasculated growing up a lot. And it's more or less because of, like, his lack of finances. Or really just him saying, like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going out to get this money versus just working this little job and doing what you want me to do. And you talk however crazy you want to, XYZ.
So it was more generational with what you've seen, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's for the women, too. Because you got a lot of women who were born, who were raised in, I would say, single-parent homes where the female operate in a both masculine and feminine role because you have men who are not in the household. And what happens is that when they go to be in the relationships, they don't know how to just operate and be feminine.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, too, like, Okay, so me and my mom, we're always getting into it, but this is kind of like our form of communication because it's like I'm the man that she needed in her life. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
she gets on the phone with me and she gets to talking her shit. And it's like, no, mom, it's not gonna be that. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, this is what X
Right.
Y Z. So like, hell, yesterday was her birthday. She got off the phone with me yesterday because you starting to piss me off. Why? Because I'm right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like I done called her, wished her happy birthday. I love you. X Y Z. What you want to do today? She like, I don't want to do nothing. But we end up into a whole nother discussion, and I end up pissing her off. Why? Because you don't get your way around me.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
don't get to talk how you want to talk X Y Z. I don't just brush the shit off or nothing. No, you gonna know that like this is how you deal with me.
Right.
But it's like I had to find balance in that because hell, growing up in that, it's like, all right, well, that's something that I have to constantly combat versus it's like I don't have to always do that at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, if I did choose a woman like that, then that would be the setting that I would need. But you know what I'm saying? That's something that's taken fine tuning over the years because it's like, hell, it's different when it's us starting off at 20 and then we have a child. Then, okay, boom, then we get married. Then that's a whole nother different type of tune.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a second child. Then that's a different type of tune. Then you married 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a whole bunch of fine tuning going on, trying to find the right balance to where I don't overdo it.
And to make sure I understand, so when you say overdo it, you mean in being
We got way more responsibility over our households than what we think. Like,
okay.
you know what I'm saying? Like, they say a woman is responsible for everything. Yeah, she's responsible for everything within the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm responsible for this whole fucking thing. So, like, you know what I'm saying? That's why we die of stress and everything because we literally have the whole thing on our backs. Like the kids, they never feel our stress. They might feel mommy's stress, but they definitely ain't gonna feel ours.
At least not at the young age.
Because the things that we're thinking about is for them, but it's so hard to see it in your mind, especially when you kind of racking your brain trying to pull it all together and you assuring her that you got it together and you're not necessarily sure that you got it together, but you believe that you got it together.
Yeah, I've definitely...
And watching the process play out, and it's like, well, I'm supposed to be the head of this shit, and I don't really know how to do this shit for real. It's just, I feel like I'm doing the work that needs to be done. It's coming together, but...
And I would piggyback off when you talked about the generational, like watching my father grow up. He was definitely beta in a lot of ways on how he dealt with stuff, and not taking care of business. Wasn't very masculine when it came to going out here being on his grind and purpose. So a lot of things in which I had to learn was learn from reading books, seeing other men that I admired on how they take care of their business. And it's trial and error. So that's
but a lot of that dynamic too comes from like it's a lot of like hell. I'd imagine we around the same age, so our mothers got to be around the same age group to where they were really encouraged. Go to school, get your degrees, this, that, whatever. You don't have to have a man that da 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 da. These is the first successful feminists for real. So where it's like, all right, well. Nah, I'm not getting no government check, and I got my own house. So you ain't gonna tell me, and you got fired from your little security job, and da 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 da.
So your mom used to talk like that too.
Oh yeah, my mom used to be crazy.
So she was emasculating your dad like all the time.
It'd be all the time.
So how did he? Are they still together? If you mind me asking.
Nah, I mean shit, they be around each other every day.
Okay, but it was, and with you seeing that,
like hell, in my mom's case. Like, my parents got a divorce, but, hell, ain't nobody about to deal with my mom's shit. Because she's so...
So she's still single?
Yeah. But,
So that goes back to where I said about it's harder for women to...
Yeah, because once you got those standards and, hell, when you so stuck in your mind to where it's like, she talks like a man sometimes, to where it's like, it's not impressive to a man. Or... Say you over at her house or something like that, and she'll get to telling you about something, and then it's always my house or my car, and da 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 da. Like that's some type of accomplishment, like
some badge of honor.
Yeah, like we don't give a fuck. I mean, it's a nice house, granted. Like,
Very masculine men who are about their business. I told my wife, like, what you make doesn't really matter. If you make more than me, if you make less than me, that's not important to me.
and that's why I told my wife, like, hell, you got your master's. Like, granted, don't get me wrong, you got the credentials to make big money. I would love for you to make big money if it didn't stress you the way that it was stressing you. Like, hell, I don't let anything stress me out like that. Besides maybe this rap shit, and I'm getting too old to let it do that. So,
Right.
motherfucking, it's like, if it's not gonna help the household, because hell, I can't do what she does in that house. Like, I mean,
And that's a vulnerability too, to admit what you just said. And that's like, where as a man we have to admit where our wives really help improve.
Yeah, I can do it, but I can't do it as well. Like,
exactly.
She helps my life run so much smoother.
Yeah, like even to prepare for this podcast, my wife came, straightened everything up, was getting stuff ready for me because I work third shift on base. You got to imagine having to sleep during the day and maintain all of that.
Yeah.
So to have that person with you who's able to, without you even have to say anything, just like I woke up and I was just like, oh man,
babe, I got some shit to do after this. And my wife was like, so when you getting the podcast done, and, well, you might as well do it at the beginning of the week, and then you text me. Like, that's what was so crazy about it, because like, hell, she wants me to start being as productive as I can, because she knows that, like, hell, I'm gonna be respectful in the realms that I'm moving in, as far as like, I'm not about to be gone for a week or up for no reason. I mean, if I'm gonna be gone for a week, it's gonna be some big money involved or some shit like that, or at least some shit where it's like at least a week's worth of pay or something. But even in that aspect, like, she's pushing me, but towards positive shit, the same way that I pushed her towards her positive shit.
Right, and that's growth. And just for our listeners, in case if you guys got lost, I hope you didn't, but you, and I'm just using you because you're talking more about it, but you created an atmosphere where both of you are operating this headspace. You're being vulnerable enough to admit how important she is to you.
Yeah.
You don't maintain the same energy that you grew up seeing, because that's a vulnerability, and you could have used it as a crutch to be like, well, my dad dealt with that, so I'm gonna deal with it too. So you made sure to communicate that I'm not going to allow you to emasculate me as I saw my mom emasculate my father.
Yeah.
And this stuff could be generational, because like I said, my father was definitely beta on how he dealt with stuff. And I tell my wife all the time, I'll be like, hey, you should be very thankful the type of energy in which you get, how you're taking care of, the moves you're able to make, the things that are available to you, because it's my mindset.
You move crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of dudes out here move crazy. It'd be on a second childhood. And I just hate to see men who are making their moves and they deal with that energy, and it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? The fuck you letting your wife talk to you that way?
Yeah.
Like, and again, I wouldn't condone it if a man was talking to his wife that way. But we see, like, the modern woman is just constantly, and it's not for all women. Please understand, this is not all women. Clearly, it's not all women.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because our wives are not doing it. But it's a great majority of women who feel like it's okay to show this masculine energy, to be all like, well, I could talk to this nigga any kind of fucking way I want to. And it's like, that's cool. You gonna get a dude ain't on his shit, like a dude that probably most females don't even want.
Yeah, you setting your bar.
Yeah, you setting your bar. And when you get that motherfucker and you don't have the standard of life that you thought you was gonna have, don't be mad at anybody but yourself. And
or you're not the standard of person to get somebody to afford you that standard of life. You got to go afford it for yourself.
Exactly.
So then that puts you in a man's standpoint.
Yeah, you got to operate in a masculine energy and bringing on that stress, like you said with your wife. It wasn't conducive for her. I mean, with my wife, she prefers the lifestyle in which we build in. She understands I like what you pointed out earlier.
And you know why? Because she's had to do it. Like,
By
you know
herself.
what I'm saying? She's had to motherfucking... All right, because I've known your wife since high school. So, you know what I'm saying? I worked at PNC with her for years while she was going through that turbulent relationship. So I can understand how it is that where it's like, well, I guess I can understand for a woman, because as a man, I can never understand moving into a situation and it's like, all right, well, I got this, I got this, I got that, and it's naturally okay.
Mm-hmm.
For a woman to do that for a man, it's like, I'm gonna feel like a bitch. You do that to me,
Right?
But for me to do that for you, it's like, all right, well, that's the natural order of how things are
Exactly.
supposed to work. I need to figure this shit out to where it works for me and you,
exactly,
and our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and women are a lot more likely to fall in line with that because it's natural to them, and sometimes they deal with bullshit. They don't have to, but if you decide to and you follow this feminist agenda that makes it okay to disrespect men and everybody out there, you're not Will Smith and Jada, you're not DJ Envy and his wife. Please, females, don't pull that off. The women who are literally getting married and happy, fulfilled relationships are submissive. They operate an energy and a headspace that's conducive for a household to thrive. So if you decide to operate outside of that, do we know what will happen? No, but statistically speaking, there are a lot of unmarried women who are unhappy, who get older, who's so set in their ways, who's focused so much on their career, and they're still unhappy. They, at the end of the day, they still want to have children and have this head in their household to take care of them. But there can't be two heads. It's not feasible.
They have a way of how they want their house to run, but they want to be under somebody else's house.
Exactly. It's a weird dynamic. They want to, but again, I blame modern culture and what we see on TV. And I say to young men, if you're watching these guys on television who are allowing their women to emasculate them and feel like that's okay, I'm telling you, it is never okay. Don't ever be in a position where you allow someone to, I mean, that's even for another man.
Yeah.
I mean, I operate in a way when I talk to other men, I talk with respect.
Yeah.
And it's not out of fear or anything like that. It's because I know how I'm going to respond if I get the disrespect coming my way.
Yeah.
So I operate in a way of respect just so that if somebody do cross that line, I feel within my rights on how I'm about to act and how I'm about to respond.
Exactly.
Because you cross that line. But if you walk around in fear and let people talk to you crazy and sit here in a relationship like, well, I just got to stay married because this is what I believe in, man, kill that noise. I know my homie Jamoane here talked about that wave, man. You better build a dam or something and keep that line. Have your standards and don't allow this modern day media to fool you to feel like that shit okay. That shit ain't happiness. What Will Smith did, that ain't happiness.
Oh, nah. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. That shit is a lie. And the media want to keep promoting that shit and keep playing that shit in our movies. I mean, it's just to be masculine, to be strong. They call it toxic. It's not toxic. It's not toxic. Being a dictator is toxic. Not being vulnerable enough to admit to your wife how important she is and how she adds value. That's toxic. Creating an atmosphere where she's in fear, like that's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But when I used the term fear earlier, I meant as in you have to operate in the energy on the standards we set. If you can't, you have to go. I'm not going to stay.
I think it's something wrong with trying to change the mindset of a masculine male and also trying to change the mindset of what a feminine female is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, hell, when you wrap so much different shit into that, like, a woman to tell you she could do everything that you can do and still, you know what I'm saying, do it, have every feminine quality that we want them to have.
Man, we live in a world where a woman can do everything technically a man can. Yeah. There's no barriers if you decide to take that route. And I'm not going to stop any woman who decides to take that route. But if you realize that if it's going against evolution and you're not happy, then just like with your wife, you have to be honest with yourself that although I was conditioned to believe this is what I want to do, it ain't happy for me.
Yeah,
it's not cool. So a wife or fiance, spouse, you have to be honest with yourself to the degree to let yourself don't look in the mirror and be like, this ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
And communicate that with people. That with people. So when you see young women out here so focused on feeling like, oh, I could do everything by myself, and the way I raise my daughters is that I want them to have the ability to be able to take care of themselves. I don't want them to be like dependent on the man or where they can't function. And I even told my wife, like, if a situation came where we weren't together, the last thing anybody would say if you got with somebody else is that you don't have anything or that you can't function on your own. That's not the type of situation that I would want to create, that you're so dependent. But being submissive is not helplessness. It's not, it's just natural. Because if it wasn't natural, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. So I think all these people operating outside their natural energy, what Will Smith did, that shit wasn't natural. Every time I think about that shit, man, it was not natural.
Every time you bring it up.
It's not natural, guy. And I mean, just like with DJ Envy, man, like to sit here with a straight fucking face and tell the world that you was cool, like you always bad.
Yeah, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like the conversation came up in my house just hearing about it. I'm like,
bro, me and my wife said, we sat there and I looked at her, I was like, man, what do you think about that? And she made a good point that they primarily did it for money at this point. Like they, you know, I mean, it sucks what she did to him, but the fact that they're putting it in his book and they're talking about it.
because they've been brought it out. It didn't make a splash.
It didn't make a splash, but now it made a splash. Everybody's talking about it. So it's about money. Get your paper. Get your paper. But for the other people out there, you know, females, if you're in a relationship, you ain't getting dug out. You know what I'm saying? Like, communicate that.
But that's the thing, though. Like I said, I'm a high school sweetheart. So when this topic come up, me and my wife get to talking about it, and I'm just like, I wonder what she gonna say about this situation. And she was like, no, I still remember having orgasms then. I mean, granted, they're a whole lot better now, but she's like, yeah, I still remember having orgasms. I mean, we wasn't that good at sex when we first started, though. Of course, nobody was, but, you know, you get to them points, but the never. Like,
and like I said, hey, listen, if there's people out there who feel this is natural to them, man, who am I to say not do it? Do whatever you want to do. But us fellas up here, man, Jamoane and I think we mutually agree that ain't natural. And I hope that society takes the time to realize that emasculating men, you know, for men are naturally masculine. We fought the wars. We damn near built the world, and we operate an energy that was sustainable for a society to exist. And actually shunning men for being what's natural to them is unnatural in his own right, and disrespecting that man, because a way a woman show love to a man is by respect.
That's facts.
Like a woman can say all day, I love you. But if you're not, like, to me, I much rather my wife show me respect. You don't even have to tell me you love me, because when you sit here to clean the home, and like my wife came in the house, she came in, she's still being respectful of me recording this podcast, says I'm respectful of your business. I'm respectful of what you got going on.
Yeah.
That's operating the energy to where I'm like, man, babe, I want to go buy you some new shoes, or hey, I want to take this
conversation helps it even more recognize how much more, you know what I'm saying?
How much more important, how
much more valuable she is.
Exactly. And it allows you to really appreciate what you have, and that person appreciates you. But I can't stand that we live in a society where, again, that's being normalized. Like, it's cool to talk crazy, like these women acting masculine, just talking shit. Like, man, look, do this if you want to. Y'all can be single. I'm gonna close with this. Take the time when you get with someone and be honest up front. Be honest up front, whatever standards. If you sleep with this person, you don't like it, please tell that motherfucker. Matter of fact, don't even be with them. Don't live your life and be unhappily not sexually satisfied.
Sex is one of the most important components of a relationship.
Yeah, very important.
So you have to be communicative.
Exactly.
Communicative with that shit.
Exactly. If you want things to change, communicate that. And like Jamoane said here, where you are in your 20s, not going to be where your 30s and 40s, and it's going to keep changing. So this is a conversation that has to keep evolving and keep being talked about. And if you're with somebody that y'all can't talk about these fundamental issues, then maybe you're not with the right person.
That's true.
And that you have to be honest with yourself. If you're that fearful that you can't talk about something as simple as sex that you have with this person, you're only fooling your damn self. So if you guys like the video, like it, share it. Jamoane, I know you just dropped some new work, man. If you want to tell them about it, I'll make sure to include in the description.
I'm a jack of all trades. Well, I'm a master of a few too. But I do music as well. I go by Peter Prophet on the music side. I just dropped a project called To the Teeth. It's kind of gun enthused because I am a gun guy. I mean, I know I've been up here smoking, but I ain't got no guns out right now. But
Okay. Gun enthusiast.
Yeah, I've been heavy into the gun, so this last batch of music kind of influenced me to make my last batch of music off of guns. I'm about to actually, after I leave here, I gotta go film a vlog for some gun shit.
Okay.
Something I was supposed to start. I had a buddy that was a Green Beret. He got killed last year.
Damn.
I'm still trying to figure out what happened to him. But
like in service or
nah, just
in the streets?
Well, crazy thing was, we think for right now we think he died in his sleep, but his house got broken into the same night that he died.
Oh, so it's that's a lot more unlayered.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So like, and then,
but he still raised his hands, though, man. You know, shout out to the fallen soldiers.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure I do some of the shit that I was talking about doing with him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying. So, I'm trying to make that happen, but I'm terrible at giving my socials and shit. But the main one I'm actually active on is Instagram. It's Peter Prophet 937. That's PTHEPROPHET 937.
It'll be in the description, guys.
Oh yeah, because I'll be terrible with that shit. Y'all seen me smoking. I'm on TikTok, but I really ain't got the TikTok thing yet.
Me neither, man. I got a TikTok and I
be trying to, but I mean, hell,
I mean,
I'm a
older,
goofy
man.
motherfucker too, and I just can't. I can't bring myself to get the recording shit.
Could you imagine if we'd have been on that shit back in like college days?
Oh, it'd have been over with.
It'd have been over.
My high school days, I was partying way more then. Like, it's so many nights I don't remember. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like crazy shit. That sort of shit is crazy. But yeah, Instagram, Peter Prophet 937. Me and my wife, we have a podcast. We're working on redoing our production because we want to start doing a video. We was just doing audio before. Okay. And that's called Since 16 because we've been together since 16. So It's called Since 16 the podcast. That's the page on Instagram. And that's pretty much me in a jar online for now. I mean,
cool. Well, listen, everybody. As I say with every video, this is open discussion. So, as things we discuss, I would love your dialogue, comment, and we may have got things wrong. Understandable, we're human, but
it's all opinions.
It's all opinions. It's all opinions. If you get your feelings hurt, they're hurt. Just relax. It's not the end of the world. Until next time, guys. Be cool.